Hey guys, this is Travis from thisloveunion.com, and we're here in Chico at the Naked Lounge, and I have my buddy Ryan Penland with me today,
How you doing?
and he's going to talk to you guys a little bit about grace and how to communicate it. So,
Yeah,
take it away, man.
right on. Yeah. Like this has just been something that's just been brewing in my heart for a while, and I think when we first hear the message of grace, it's very easy to kind of fall into this somewhat elitist attitude, because we're so hyped up on it. We're like, I have the message, like, and in a sense that kind of makes everyone else kind of feel a little bit lower than you are. And I think honestly, we may have a certain revelation, a deeper revelation of what grace means, but that by no means means that we have all the answers. And God's definitely just been taking me on this journey where I was one of those people that kind of, acted in a very arrogant way and very bitter towards religion, that whenever I communicated grace to people, it came off as very bitter and arrogant and very elitist, and I realized that it really did nothing but damage the relationships that I had already. And it strained a lot of things, and really at the end it just exhausted me. I felt no more fulfilled than I thought I was going to be. I think the biggest thing for me is that grace doesn't look for a debate. I think that's I think it's very easy to fall into debates with people because we all believe that we have the correct theology or whatever, and I think what it comes down to is that none of us have the correct theology, but Jesus Christ is perfect theology. And the more we dive deeper into Christ and his sacrifice on the cross and what that did for us, 2,000 years ago, the more, the deeper our theological understanding becomes, and I'm just having a lot of conversations with people, and it's really taught me how, like, my identity is not wrapped up in whether or not I'm right or wrong about something. And that's where that's where people can get into some trouble with themselves. They can start questioning their beliefs, and they can, it's because of the fact that they are so bent on being right that when they're proven wrong, all of a sudden they just start questioning everything, and it's kind of a dangerous place to be in. But really, all it is just an identity shift where you're just like, my identity is not tied in being right or wrong, but in my relationship with the Father. And so and when Jesus talks about you need to become like a kid to be able to see the kingdom, that applies to this as well, because what you're doing is you're like a child. You don't know anything. You are learning everything. You're always asking the questions, why? Why is this the way it is, Papa? Who is this? Where is the, you know what I mean? And so and what that does is that just creates such a position of humility that really all you're doing, you're just placing yourself back in Papa's lap, and you're saying, okay, teach me whatever you want. I don't have any of the answers, but I know that you do. And it's that intimacy that you have.
It's relieving.
Absolutely. And grace ultimately does not elevate itself above someone. Rather, it comes in low like a servant. It serves people. It looks for different ways to love someone. So it's like when I get into conversations with people about the subject of grace, I'm not looking to debate with them. I'm just sharing my heart with them and looking for different ways that I can love them. And that's where that's where you can get really good, strong relationships. And
Absolutely.
and I believe that ultimately is is the Father's heart. Is, because people's minds are not changed by debates; they're changed by relationships.
Yeah.
The deeper relationship you have with someone, the more they're able to see your heart, and the more that just there's something that is reflected in that they can't help but stare at, and they're like, there's something to this.
Yeah.
There's something to this, and that has come across in virtually every conversation that I've had for the past year or so. After I've given up this whole wants to be right about something.
Yeah.
Where I'm no longer concerned about being right. I'm just concerned about loving people.
Yeah.
And that is ultimately the Father's heart.
Yeah.
And people will be able to understand the Father's heart when we come in from that angle.
Yeah. This definitely sounds like a more of a less aggressive way of just, it brings peace to people and
Absolutely.
rest when you're in grace.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're not hammering down to try to be right.
Right. Well, and at the same time, it's like we also have to have, grace for the people that haven't really gotten to that area yet, and the reason why is because it's very easy to become bitter towards religion. It's a very, very easy thing. It's a very easy thing to fall into. That's normally like the first response that you have.
Yeah.
And just justifiably so.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things to be angry at religion about. Religion ultimately, I've seen religion do nothing but destroy relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
But ultimately, it's not. It's when we're trying to come out in this position of trying to fight religion, so to speak. It does nothing but exhaust us.
Yeah.
And so rather trying to fight religion, I just, like I said, just concern myself with just loving other people, and through loving other people and being in rest, I'm fighting religion in that way. And I feel that we, especially within this new grace revolution that's happening, people are catching on to the fact that like we're not in this to debate it with anybody. We're just in it to love people.
Yeah, that relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a way that you can communicate grace, even if it's a true word of God to somebody, without being, without coming across condescending
or abrasive,
right. Where it comes across in a loving relationship. Speak on that for a little bit, if you don't mind.
About.
How would you advise people to, if you have a true word of God and it's truth, how do you present it to somebody in a loving and kind way without it seeming debatable, or you're trying to clash opinions, but basically it's coming out of love and grace?
Right. Well, the biggest thing for me that I found out is just to continuously ask questions. Because when you're asking questions, you're not. I guess it all depends on your angle. Like, I know a lot of people start to ask questions to try and trap other people. Yeah. But really, when I ask questions of what people believe, it's just really coming out of this genuine want to understand the other person. Yeah. And through that, you're just kind of easing them into it. People don't understand. They don't respond well when someone smacks them over the head with something. Yeah. They react in a way that is more standoffish than wanting to really, and so I found that the more that I ask questions, I'm trying to I'm building that trust with that other person in a sense of like I genuinely want to understand them, where they're coming from, and then and it also comes with like feeling the situation out. If it's to this point where it doesn't really look like whatever you say is going to change the person's mind or whatever, then it's best just to not bring it up, and instead just keep on loving the person. Just keep on loving the person for Well, ultimately, our goal is not to it's not to convince anybody. We're just concerned with loving people. Yeah. And so the more that we genuinely concern ourselves with understanding the other person, the deeper that relationship gets, the stronger that bond is.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you can have an amazing, strong relationship and not agree with really anything. You know what I mean? Like you can disagree with so many different things, but yet that bond that you have, because of the fact that it's like at the end of the day, really it does not matter to me whether or not someone agrees with me in certain things. It's if I can, at the end of the day, if I'm having a really tough time and I can call that person and say, hey, I'm really having a tough time right now. I'm really struggling. Can you please pray for me? And I know that they'll be there, you know? And that's ultimately right, and that is ultimately what it's taught me, you know.
Yeah. Well, awesome, guys. Like I said, Ryan Penland, he's an amazing brother of mine, a beloved son of God, and I just thank you for sharing what's on your mind.
Yeah. We just released that right now. We just released that to everybody. Just this. One of my good friends told me that if you want peace that surpasses understanding, you're gonna have to give up your need to understand things. And that's the thing. It's like we will never fully understand things, and it's a good thing because grace defies all sense of human logic. It makes no logical sense to the human mind. And the more we're able to just like humbly accept that, you know, the more that revelation grows in us. You know? And so we just released that peace upon you guys. Remember, it's not about being right; it's about being in relationship with people. Ultimately, it's the relationship that counts. And that's what the Father's heart was all about. It was all about relationship. It was all about the relationship from the get-go. So we love you guys. We hope you have an amazing time. We sure are, definitely.
We love you guys. Come from Chico, California, at the Naked Lounge.
ThisRevolution.com.
This Love Union.
Union.
Hopefully it'll be a revolution.
There you go.
Love across the world. We love you guys so much. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.